Good afternoon on this really beautiful afternoon, not only because the weather's phenomenal, but because we are going to have the pleasure of witnessing a really phenomenal service. So good afternoon. This is a community where curious seekers gather to explore spiritual, ethical, and social issues in an accepting and nurturing environment. Unitarian Universalism supports the freedom of conscience of each individual as together we seek to be a force for good in the world. My name is Leslie Ross, and on behalf of the congregation, I would like to extend a special welcome to visitors. I know we have many of them today, families and friends of our coming-of-age teens and other people who just were lucky and wandered in for our coming-of-age service, so we welcome you all. We are a welcoming congregation, so whoever you are and wherever you are on your life's journey, we celebrate your presence among us. Today is our coming-of-age worship service, and we are privileged to hear from an impressive group of youth who have spent the last 8 months in our coming-of-age program. As many of you know, Coming of Age is the final class in our children's religious education program and is our rite of passage marking the transition from child to adolescent. The Coming of Age program offers experiences that help our youth to better understand who they are, who they hope to be, and what beliefs ground and guide them on their way. Their time has been richly spent with classroom experiences, time with their elders, and self-reflection. This, I believe, is an international program that engages people in writing and sharing essays that describe the core values that guide their daily lives. Our coming-of-age teens have heard and discussed many of these essays during the past months. Then they set themselves down to writing their own essays, which they will bravely share with you today. Their words, as well as their musical contributions to today's service, are sure to inspire hope and awe. And now let's welcome our coming-of-age team of teens, facilitators, and elders.
Please be seated. I invite anyone who would like to come forward for the story to come on up to the carpet. Okay, thanks. You stay there. Like, keep it open like that page, until we start. All right, we are going to be reading Where the Wild Things Are. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another,
his mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up."
So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew, and grew, until the ceiling hung with vines, and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day, and in and out of weeks, and almost over a year, to where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, and roared their terrible roars, and gnashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes, and showed their terrible claws,
till Max said, "Be still,"
and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all, and made him the king of all wild things.
"And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start." "Now stop," said Max,
and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him the best of all. Then, all around him from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being kind, king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried,
"Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said no.
The wild things roared their terrible roars, and gnashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes, and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped in his private boat and waved goodbye, and sailed over a year, and in and out of weeks, and through a day, and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him, and it was still hot.
Josie, and this is my belief statement. For the past 4 years, I've been flying by myself to Tucson, Arizona to visit my grandparents, Mamu and Papu. Every August, just a week or two after my birthday, my mom drives me to the Milwaukee airport and we wait at the gate for my flight. The first year we did this when I was 10, my mom started crying at the gate when it was time for me to board my plane. I made it very clear next year that she can't embarrass me like that again. After the 4-hour flight, Mamu and Papu are always waiting for me at the gate when my plane lands. They take me out to dinner to In-N-Out, one of my favorite restaurants, where I always order a hamburger, no sauce, chocolate shake, and fries. When we get to Mamu and Papu's house, they always have a full week of fun planned out for me. This is why I like to call it Mamu and Papu Camp. At Mamu and Papu Camp, I get to go swimming in their pool every day and drive their golf carts down the streets and paths of the retirement community, trying not to crash it. During the first few summers with Mamu and Papu, a big focus of the week was water ballet routines. I would spend hours every day in their pool with noodles and floaties, coming up with different moves. Once I would come up with a water ballet routine with dives, spins, and somersaults, Mamu would record it so we could send the daily water ballet routine video to my parents. At the time, I don't think I realized how horrible I was at trying to do water ballet. I was really just prancing and spinning around their pool, but I thought I was really good, so I had fun making the videos. What's so special about spending time at Mamu and Papu Camp is that it's 2 to 3 weeks in the year where I have a lot of fun while spending time with my grandparents. We go swimming, we play bocce ball, we drive the golf cart all around the neighborhood, and we do lots of cooking projects like making root beer cake, fruit pizza, and grilling on the barbecue. We go shopping at the mall, get our nails done, we watch quality TV shows like HGTV and Dancing with the Stars, and we go to parties where I'm at least 50 years younger than everyone else. Some people may not want to spend their summer vacation in an active retirement community with their grandparents, but I think we have a pretty good time. I always feel special and loved when I go to Mamu and Papu's, and I know that they're always looking forward to when I come and visit them. When I'm at Mamu and Papu Camp, I feel happy that I get to have this experience with just me and my grandparents. I get to really spend time and get to know my grandparents, which is something I don't always get to do when I come with my whole family. Over the years, I've gotten busier, and sometimes it's harder to set dates for when to go, but I always leave in spot in August for Mamu and Papu Camp. I'm looking forward to this summer, which will be my 5th summer at Mamu and Papu Camp. While writing my belief statement, I have realized I've grown up in a family that values spending time together. Whether it's summers at Mamu and Papu's, dinner every Sunday with my grandma and grandpa here in Madison, or going to family reunions in Door County, I know this shared time is important to me and my family. And while I'll continue to meet new people and make new friends, I know I'll always have my family to rely on. This I believe.
My name is Jake Palmer, and this is what I believe. I believe in the golden rule, that people should treat others the way they want to be treated. I believe in being kind. I have been bullied and teased a lot in different times of my life. I was born with severe childhood apraxia of speech, which is a rare motor planning disorder. I couldn't pronounce motor planning naturally for speech production. I did not talk until I was 4.5 years old. It took a couple of years after that for me to speak so that people couldn't understand me. During that time, I was misunderstood a lot and teased a lot. I also had to wear leg braces, and some people made fun of that too. And I remember how embarrassing and hurtful that was. I also remember how it felt when a person would be a friend. And the difference that it made. I learned everyone should have a friend. I spend a lot of time at Mayo Clinic and singing at the Ronald McDonald House. I have had other tough times since that time too. I have learned all that I am not the only person with problems. I have learned that other people have all kinds of different problems. I have learned that life can be hard, but still it can be good. What makes it good is how we can make a difference by caring about each other. I try to always be a good friend, to be a good listener and encourage people when they need it. I try to always be a good friend. It's usually easy to be that way to your friends, but I think it's easy to do that to everybody, and it's actually not that hard to just be nice. I show care and respect to animals and to our earth. I have also learned that I need to show care for the respect to show care and respect to myself. I do this by making healthy choices for myself. I am trying to be kinder to myself. I am spending time with people who make me feel good and make me feel good about myself and things we do. I believe the way that we chose to live our lives can make a difference. We can be a positive force in the world. I am going to live my life as a kind person because I believe kindness is the most important thing. This is what I believe.
Hi, I'm Dee Dee, and I believe that ever since I was a little kid, whenever I had a lousy day, I would either go to my room and find myself in a land of giants and wizards fighting and death, or I would go downstairs and bang on the piano for a few hours to get the frustration out of my head. I always wanted my stress to disappear. I never wanted to face anything face to face. By the time I was in 7th grade, I felt done with life. People were calling me names at school and telling me I was never good enough. But this time, instead of me curling up in my room and trying to disappear into another universe of books, my stress came out in a way that physically hurt me. My subconscious brain was telling me that my head would hurt and I would have a migraine, or I would end up on the ground shaking from a grand mal seizure. I was in and out of hospitals and clinics, and no one could figure out what was wrong. I didn't even know. 2nd semester started, and I had missed so much school, I didn't think I would graduate my 7th grade. I was on so many drugs trying to control my migraines and seizures, people would have thought I was dying or something. I was in a downward spiral of hopelessness and disparity. People who had been my friends weren't, and many of my teachers and coaches didn't even know my name. I felt trapped inside a box with no way out. I believe in life, I believe in faith, I believe in courage, and I believe things happen for a reason. And I want to believe that there's a God out there who puts us in these positions of humility, fear, and stress to show us what life is about. From a young age, I noticed that kids at school would separate into groups of who was most like them. We had the good kids and the bad kids. We had the smart kids and the kids who needed extra help. As the human race, we like to think that even though kids are taught from a young age now that the fact that someone is indifferent isn't bad and not to make fun of them or say mean things, but it is human nature to want to be liked, even if that means putting someone else down to get there. One day, after my dad had picked me up from school, because the nurses had called saying I had another migraine, I broke down. I told my dad I never wanted to go back to school, and I thought everyone hated me, and none of my teachers even knew who I was. By that afternoon, my school had been informed, and weeks later, I was back in school for the most time. And even though I was way behind the rest of my class, at least I was there. Many students take school and friendships for granted, and this has taught me that I have way more support in my life than many other kids. This is a quote from another This I Believe statement that sums up a lot of my thoughts. Human history is an endless catalog of folly and madness with new horrors added daily. Yet, bad as it is, most of us are not starving. Most of us do not die young from terrible diseases. Most of us get on, if not fabulously well, at least minimally adequately. We have agriculture and medicine, music and art. We have, most of us, electricity and roads and a roof over our head. We have the internet and national public radio. We have all this stuff, and it mostly works. Even our dissatisfactions are measured up our expectation that it could work even better. And here's the thing, all of this is the product of them, those people, all those stupid people who made my life so miserable as a teenager. We are them, and they are us. I learned from this experience that I can't back down from things, even if I can be sensitive about things and things can make me uncomfortable. I need to advocate for myself and others when I see something wrong. I now enjoy school on the most part and have gone on to spread awareness about bullying and the impacts on children. I, like any teenager, still have drama that can get tough to deal with, but I have and am working on ways to control the stress and fear that I get. I believe in fate, I believe in God, I believe in life. This I believe. Thank you.
Next is Mitchell Braun.
A good life means to me that I surround myself with good people. I will have a job that is worth doing. I'll pursue my interests in travel, art, creativity, and golf. I will treat others like they are friends, and others will treat me like theirs.
mistake. Hi, I'm Julia, and this is my belief statement. I believe in the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are all part. It is a web that connects us to all the plants, animals, and people on the earth. It is the web that connects me to my mom, my teachers, my girlfriends, my therapist, and the FUS community. When I was a little girl, I used to play with babies in the orphanage. When I met my parents, they gave me a baby doll, but it opened and closed its eyes. It sort of creeped me out. That's why my mother put it away down in the basement and gave me the toys that I loved, dinosaurs. My mom listened to me, and I was happy. When I was in grammar school, I was not very attentive to my teachers. I refused to listen. I threw tantrums and threw things on the floor. My teachers taught me to calm down and to be a good scholar. I care about my teachers a lot. I feel good about learning, and school is great. I also had lots of therapists who taught me how to listen to others and to focus on my work. They taught me to be open-minded, and now they are teaching me how to make friends. My therapists knew how to take care of me, and they knew to help me to learn and grow. This year at West High School, I've gone to school dances, joined the cheerleading team, sung in choir, and joined the Korean dance club. I like being around other students because they make me feel like I have a place there. My mom, my teachers, and my case manager made it all happen for me. At FUS, I feel very welcome. I talk to kids I've known for a long time, and to our ministers and grown-ups who take the time to have conversations with me. I love making gingerbread houses, bringing food for the potlucks, going to seders, going to a library and looking at books, doing projects at church school, lighting the chalice candle, and seeing the sources. It makes me feel like I have a family of friends. The people in my life have made me joyful, and I'm comfortable having them around me. Without all these people, I would be very sad, and my life would be lonely. I don't believe that I could live without the people who care about me. I hope that I will help them to feel like they belong to the interdependent web, to the interdependent web that connects us all. This is what I believe.
change. I believe in relativity, reality, and human nature. I believe in this moment, the ones past, and the moments of my future. I believe in my family, I believe in my friends, I believe in myself. I believe in dreams, starry nights, cloudy skies, and sunshine. I believe in the here and now, tomorrow, and yesterday. I believe there is no God. I believe that there is nothing after death. I believe that life is random and uncontrollable things do not happen for a reason. I believe that there are no spirits or higher power. I believe that life is unfair and death is inevitable. Humans will be humans. We will continue to create and fight wars and kill each other. Humans will be human. We will continue to create and nurture our children and support each other. I believe in human nature, the good along with the bad. I believe that love is equally as strong as fear, and pure altruism does not exist. I believe in personal perspective. Everyone is different and unique. I believe in individuality and everyone's right to choice and freedom. I believe in relativity. Nothing is entirely good or bad, and nothing is entirely right or wrong. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and so is evil. Humans experience life through the lens of their own thoughts and emotions, filtering everything they see. My thoughts and views are mine, but I didn't create them. I, along with everyone else, form my thoughts and opinions from the actions, words, and events around me. Therefore, everyone has created my thoughts, and I help create everyone else's. I believe in change. Change is always here and always coming. Change is the only thing that will always stay the same. Time will and has repeated itself. We humans are bound to repeat ourselves, making the same mistakes, and yet every new generation thinks that they're going to change things and make them better. This is what keeps us moving forward. We have improved over our history, but whenever we squash one problem, another pops up. There will always be new problems, but we will always continue to fix them. What is the point of life? To live? When do you stop living and start dying? Why live when you know you're going to die? I believe the point of life is to live, to experience life and all the things it can bring. I realized that if I kept questioning the point of doing things, I would never do them. I came to the conclusion that there is not always a justifiable reason for everything, and that's okay. I believe in change, in time, in relativity, in personal perspective, in human nature. I believe in life. Thank you.
I'm Zane Kalinowski. Throughout this year in coming of age, we've had a few recurring themes. Fossils, not literal fossils, but what you leave behind, who you were in life, what your footprint was. This theme has really been sticking to me lately. Whether you're a really rich guy who donates millions of dollars to charity, or just a little boy living in a small town with 5 other siblings and parents who are just making it by, you still have the choice of what you want to leave behind. Ever since the age of 10, when I got my first school-issued computer, I've been writing stories. In fact, so many at one point, I wanted to be an author. At this point, I really had never thought about my fossil and what I was leaving behind. Now, I've really been thinking a lot about the mark I'm leaving, what impression I'm giving off. On May 14th, 1944, there was a boy born in Modesto, California, to George Walton Lucas and Dorothy Eleanor Baumberger. On May 25th, 1977, at 33, he released the most iconic movie to this day, Star Wars. This man, George Lucas, is an inspiration to millions of people to this day, including me. He has left a fossil through his storytelling that has influenced me. Of course, there are tons of other people like this. Stan Lee, Steven Spielberg, J.R.R. Tolkien, Gary Gygax, Dave Arneson. I could go on for literally hours. But you get the basic idea. Do you know what every last person I just mentioned has in common? They all left something on this earth through storytelling. These people are nationally recognized for the things they've created. I believe that you should leave a mark on this planet, a mark that you can be proud of. On January 28th, 2003, there was a boy born in Denver, Colorado, to Steve Kalinowski and Claire Fallon. On May 15th, at 2018, May 15th, 2018, at 15, he went to the coming of age class ceremony and read his belief statement. If you couldn't tell, that was a reference to me. I believe in equal rights. I believe that all lives matter, no matter who, what, or where you are. I believe that all humans are the exact same thing, made up of atoms, blood, DNA, emotions, and personalities. I believe that anybody can like who they like, no matter if they are completely and utterly different from you, the exact same as you, or the opposite gender, or the same gender. I believe that conflict is terrible, but without it, we wouldn't be who we are today. We need it. I believe that you can believe what you want to believe. I believe that you can be whatever you want to be, no matter how hard it is or what obstacles are in the way. I believe that friends are necessary just as much as family, and I believe that enemies are even more necessary. I believe that everybody is human, no more and no less. I believe that animals should be treated just as you treat your best friend. I believe that you can be friends with anybody. I believe that we should not separate humanity and segregate it, but rather embrace the differences. I believe in making a mark, and I want to leave my mark through storytelling.
Hey, I'm Milo, and this is my belief statement song. I didn't think they were going to be so close together.
Hello, my name is Kian, and this is my belief statement. Although the things we do for ourselves may shape who we are as individuals, what we do for each other shapes us as humans. And though one may be more beneficial in the short term, the other will have a long-standing impact. The impact our decisions will have on our lives and our personal enjoyment should be thought of after we have contemplated its effect on those around us. And although I do believe we should spend our lives doing the things that we personally love and enjoy, I would also argue that it should not be at the expense of making others' lives potentially worse, and negatively impacting the choices they will make going forward, which will not only affect them, but also, in turn, alter the world's overall outcome. Now, whether that outcome is good or bad, it is hard to tell at present. But the truth of this matter is that we must begin thinking about each decision we make in terms of the overall impact it will have on the things that ensure others' well-being. It is only becoming more crucial that we think about the effect we have on the world as a whole, perhaps above the effect on ourselves, or the impact on those in our community, possibly over those we personally care about, those in greater need over those we know and love. So yes, do enjoy what time you have, but also be sure to take into account the consequences of your actions, even if those potential outcomes don't majorly affect you personally. I sometimes find myself looking back on how my actions have shaped the people around me, and I found that it can be easy not to realize exactly how something I've said or done has influenced another's life, or even simply how they view themselves as a person. But it is important for me to at least attempt to realize the impact on those around me and their future actions, and base my decision on those guidelines. This may be more easily illustrated on a smaller scale, perhaps simply supporting the town where you live by choosing to buy from local businesses in order to further support your community. The fact that I have the financial capability to support local means I, and people of similar privilege, should be even more morally obligated to think in these terms. Because if we do not support our local areas, they won't be able to sustain themselves, and they will become poorer and poorer until they will eventually fade away without our continued support. The town of Mazomanie, where I've spent a substantial portion of my childhood, is a fair example of this. Small businesses once dominated the area, but looking back from when I was young, I realized that the businesses that exist there today are often different from what I saw as a child. And as I grew, I watched these places, which were only barely keeping their head above water to begin with, gradually close down and go out of business, only to be replaced by chain stores with major corporate backing. One small business still remaining is the town's hardware store, still trying to survive in such a remote area. When given the chance, I choose to buy from this store, despite some of the same items frequently costing 2 or even 3 times as much as their chain business counterparts. But at the same time, I understand that there's a reason for this. It's most likely the only thing they can do to stay afloat. I would be lying if I told you I don't ever feel tempted to just go to a place like Menards or McFarland's, or even easier, just order something on Amazon. But I realize the importance of only turning to these sources as a last resort. This business is doing the best they can with what little they have, and doing my part to attempt to support them will help sustain their business for at least a little while longer. Large businesses are growing larger, and those running small businesses, sadly, get poorer and poorer. The best way we can stop this is if those who have the ability to support local do support local, and choose to give back to their community, something that can be easily forgotten when they themselves are not financially disadvantaged. I have a hobby of relentlessly studying global statistics in order to compare myself to others living in less advantaged areas. And doing this has made me realize just how fortunate I am to be in my position. I encourage others to do the same, as it may further impact your choices based on what's best for each other. So even though the sheer amount of people living on this earth at present is enough to make some of us feel like our actions are insignificant, they will add up. And the more we speak up for ourselves and do the things that benefit us as a greater people, the more likely others will be to follow in our footsteps. We as humans want to see each person as unique and make a name for ourselves. But the only way to succeed in this endeavor is to help others accomplish their goals alongside us. So it can be hard to remember exactly how much your actions and decisions will make a difference. But it is crucial that we do not forget that in the end, all we have left is each other. And if we do not learn how to make decisions that benefit us all, we will never be able to live our lives to their own fullest extent. This I believe.
Hi, I'm Esme, and I believe in being fully engaged. To me, being engaged means carefully considering what's best for me and my loved ones, what kind of person I want to be, and how I want to live my life. For me, being engaged includes being political and taking action. I believe strongly in democracy.
I believe in standing up for what I believe, and I believe there's always a place for powerful statements and actions. One of the first times I can remember being part of a movement was when I was 7 years old and I slept in the state capitol building with my family from the first night of the occupation and uprising to try and stop Act 10. I was too young to understand the importance of the protests at the time, but looking back, I now see how that shaped my point of view. And when I drove to Washington, D.C. with my family for the Women's March to protest Trump's election and political agenda, I felt empowered and inspired by all the activists who converged to form a lasting resistance movement, a movement that I believe in very strongly. I believe in democracy, and I will continue to stand up for what I believe in. I also believe in thrift stores. I believe in opposing the consumeristic culture that our society has worked so hard to push upon us as citizens. And the best way to resist consumerism is by reusing, recycling, and repurposing as much as possible. I believe in minimalism, and it's important to me to let go of things that no longer serve a purpose in my life so that they can find a new purpose and a new home. I find it personally liberating not feeling the need to hold on to things because I spent too much money buying them, which is why I buy most of my clothes from thrift stores. I'm so engaged in repurposing, you can often find me wearing a headlamp, knee-deep dumpster diving for all kinds of cool things that stores just throw away. I am engaged with the world around me, and as a feminist, I see how important it is to stand up for equality. Unfortunately, I'm growing up in a society where as many as 1 out of every 4 girls will experience sexual assault before the age of 18. This is a terrifying reality, but the Me Too movement gives me and a lot of other people hope for the future. Embracing feminism and smashing the patriarchy is something men and women and boys and girls can all do together. And it's an exciting time to be an outspoken and active feminist. And while feminism is a part of who I am, I'm still a girl coming of age in America, which is not an easy thing on even the best of days. I'm still learning the difference between healthy and unhealthy influences, but sometimes some of the harshest judgments and pressure to conform come from other people my age as much as anything else. While we are just repeating things we've seen and heard, it's our responsibility to question those things and reject the ideas that don't serve us and our future happiness, while embracing those things that encourage our best, authentic selves. Meanwhile, I believe in resisting peer pressure by listening and trusting my best self to help me take care of me. And as we get older and get more confident, I'm sure it will get easier to accept the things about ourselves that don't conform to society's expectations. I believe in unconditional love for myself and for others, and I believe in being honest. I believe in each of us being fully engaged in each of our unique lives and in standing up and taking action to make life better for everyone else. This I believe. Thank you. I now invite you into the giving and receiving of today's offering, which goes towards the ongoing support of our Coming of Age program.
All the adults that have been influential in my life have forever called me smart and clever and curious. But I always prove them right over and over again. Throughout my entire life, I ask people tons of questions looking for every single answer I can find. But I also don't know what I believe. So I would like to start this belief statement with, I don't know what I believe about many things. I like to call myself a questioner. I feel that I will be a questioner for my whole life, constantly searching for an answer to a question that has never had or will never have an answer. The question of religious beliefs, of the belief in a higher power, afterlife, and what exists around us that can't always be proven or seen. Through my search for an answer, I have asked many people what their beliefs are. My father is an atheist, and my mother and brother have beliefs that would take me far too long to explain. My best friends range from a settled belief in God, but not being really religious, to having a few friends who are Satanists, though I feel that is just, at least for one of them, is just to rebel against their religious parents. Through this, I've gotten over a dozen points of view on the subject. Some I agree with, and others not so much. Though what they say about their beliefs, especially when they aren't just following what their parents say, opens a window into the person they really are. It can also show how they grew up and their experiences in life. My friend, who strongly abides by Christianity and is strict in religion, is also strict in other aspects of his life and was raised in a strict household. My friend, who doesn't care as much about religion, has a carefree attitude towards their problems, and their parents raised them with a carefree attitude and no teachings. Then my friends who are Satanists both hate how society is and how their lives are, but don't know how to fix it. I have thought it was a coincidence, though it happens to be true most of the time. And thinking about beliefs being a window into a person, I wonder what being a questioner makes me. While thinking this way, I realized I'm a very indecisive person and do very much love to learn of new and interesting topics. Like I question others' beliefs, I question what I am told, and without solid evidence, won't instantly believe it. My life has been full of contradictions and confusing elements, and this really does show who I am, so this is what I believe.
I'm Eli. Hello. I believe in a lot of things. I believe that people should be treated how they treat others. I believe that life can suck a lot, but will eventually change for the better. I believe in some things that others don't. For example, I'm pretty sure that I'm the only one in my family who believes in God. But that's okay, because people have the right to believe whatever they want. I think that whatever you believe in is something that you shouldn't change because it's what you believe in and it's yours. I used to only think about how people were affecting me and my feelings, but I always had a hard time thinking about other people's feelings in a sense that they were having the same thoughts that I was, or having thoughts of their own at all. That's until I realized the fact that that isn't true. I believe that the closest people in my life are my friends and family, even though I don't agree with either of them some of the time, but they're the glue that holds my life together. I think that I need alone time sometimes to get my head around things, but I also need to be around friends or I will go crazy. I may fight with them, and in a lot of ways they're completely different from me, but at the same time they know me insanely well. I think my friends know me better than my family sometimes, and I also think my family knows me better than my friends. Just different sides of me, I guess. It really depends on what they want to know. Overall, I love my friends and family, even if I can be a bit emotionless about it sometimes. I don't believe in soulmates. I do believe that some people are better off knowing each other and dating each other than others are. I believe that God teaches lessons in weird ways sometimes, but there will always be something that is deeper hidden inside the lesson being taught. Like if you don't do well in something, you can always learn from it how to get better. Or if you lose someone, it can only make you stronger for things that are going to come. I believe that life isn't fair most of the time. I believe that people can be monsters without knowing it and also be saints without knowing it. I always try to live life to the fullest, but sometimes it's hard when I have certain restrictions or I have to stay in. I believe that change is good and bad. It depends on what you're changing and how you're changing it. I think meeting new people can be great and dangerous. But what about life isn't dangerous? Nothing is to answer that question. I don't think anyone should let fear control them. I believe that fear is just mind games that we play with ourselves. But pushing by the fear is a skill I think that everyone should have. In conclusion, I believe in people, friendships, hardships, and just about everything in between. This I believe.
I'm Hope, and this is what I believe. I believe many things, but one thing I believe is patience. For over the years, I learned how to be patient. It was hard even if I wanted something right then and there. When I was younger, I knew patience existed, but never really deeply thought about it. I make origami cranes and would give them away. It took me a while to get all the complicated folds down. I would get frustrated and would want to quit, but if I waited just long enough, I would get the end result, which was the best of all. Once I mastered them, I started making them left and right. Everyone was so amazed. They would say, "You made this?" My reply was yes, while nodding my head. They said I could never do that. It sounds like it would take forever. All I could do was smile. For me, patience means that you have to be headstrong and willing to persevere in what you do. When I was outside during the retreat, it was windy and cold, and I was just about done. Except there was one thing I had to do, and that was taking down the tarp. I struggled to untie the rope from the tree because the wind kept blowing under the tarp. And every time I tried to untie it, the wind would pull the tarp, making it tighter. My hands were frozen after I tried multiple times, but I did not give up, so I did it little by little. When I got to the last knot that I had tied, my hands were so frozen that they physically hurt. Later that day, when I went to talk to my elders, they helped me find what I truly believe. This I believe.
I believe in the power of human connectivity. As children, we connect with one another easily. We share more experiences. We play games, and the things we experience draw us closer together. Forming a bond can be as simple as saying, "Hey, purple is your favorite color too? Wow, we have so much in common. Let's be friends." Having a secure environment is the one thing every human needs emotionally, aside from the physical necessities of food, water, and shelter. When I was about 13, I began to shut myself off from many of my peers. Some of this had to do with minor bullying at my school and dance studio, but most of it was born from shyness and insecurities. I would close people out if I felt intimidated by them, and the few times I did try to interact, it just felt awkward. My fear of other people got worse during my freshman year of high school. Although I had friends, they would often hang out with other people, which made me jealous. Over time, though, I slowly began to realize that being scared wasn't doing me any good. Isolating myself wasn't improving my social life, and trying to act how I thought was normal was exhausting. Opening up to the world, slowly but surely, has been 10 times more effective than relying on my defense mechanisms, withdrawing and trying hard not to be me. When I quit dance and joined the cross-country team freshman year, I had a new way to express myself. As I continued to improve through my sophomore season, I began to take myself more seriously. I learned that I could dance and sing loudly to Beyonce on the back of a bus, and no one would care. In fact, my teammates were probably all doing the same thing. The trusting, supportive environment provided by my teammates, captains, and coaches allowed me to make friends more easily and gave me an incentive to be the best version of myself. I think this is when I knew I was going to be okay. Trusting myself to make the right decisions in my life made me steadily improve my relationship with my peers. As time goes by, I learn more about how to make important connections. My experiences with sports, as well as show choir, and my coming of age class have helped me expand my confidence and learn how to communicate with different groups of people. My anxiety around other people is still a problem, but it's also helped me recognize that connecting with other people is important. When I work up the courage to make those connections, I'm always happier. Some say that today, in the age of Instagram and Snapchat, the lack of direct connection is causing unhappiness and even depression for many, specifically for teenagers. I think that social media can create the feeling of a bond with a larger group of people, but that it's not real without direct contact. Does it ever feel lonely to just send a message without seeing someone's face or hearing them speak? Or does scrolling through an Instagram feed ever make you feel inadequate? Experts and therapists agree that social anxiety levels worldwide have increased along with the spread of social media. While social media is a useful tool to stay connected with your friends and relatives who you may not see regularly, it can be detrimental to your mental health. It can go from being isolated online to being attacked on Twitter. It is said that our screens make us unhappy, while real connection does the exact opposite. While I love social media, it is occasionally depressing to think about superficial things, like the quality of my photos or the number of followers I have. I believe that we can find a happy medium between the amount of time we spend on social media and the time we spend with other people. We need to explore different connections. Our first priority, though, should be making sure that we are happy and secure in our relationships. As humans, we constantly try to explore and create relationships and to find things in common with other people. Whether a bond we form is with a friend, a parent, a sibling, a mentor, or a romantic partner, it is in our instincts to keep people we care about close and maybe form new connections along the way. This I believe. Thank you.
I'm Sonia Grady, and this is my belief statement. I believe in love. The cliche romances and love that is just a deep fondness, something I have come to feel for all of you. I love the person who I have come to be today, including all of my flaws. Another one of my flaws is school in general. I have a GPA of 3.6, and I procrastinate way too much. When I got high honors in the mail, I went into the bathroom and I cried. My friends complain when they get an A-, while I struggle with a B-. Another one of my flaws is what I like to call my eating mistake. I eat too much ketchup. My diet consists of carbs and an occasional banana. I eat sweets too often. I used to think that if I didn't put anything in my stomach, then there would be nothing to come out of it, and the in-between was just nothingness. I often sat at the dinner table full of food, not eating anything by choice. My last annoyance is I have too many emotions. I am an array, a spectrum of ideas. I chuckle at myself and my own jokes. I get scared when it thunderstorms at night. I'm sad when you leave, and then laugh with smiles so wide they hurt when the parents come home, waving with two hands when I see any and all of you. I cry during Buffy the Vampire Slayer and La La Land. I get frustrated at my geometry homework. Too much is never enough. I never thought to stop and pause to see where the bar was set, but only that I needed to strive for higher. Love is not accepting my flaws, but rather the realization that they are a part of who I am, and that they change as I change. I also believe in the love that I feel for all of you. I know some of you personally. I am the right to your left seat on the bus, with too close and too warm cuddles, Miss Black Belt. I finished your BTS lyrics, singing off-key harmonies way too late at night. I can jam with you and ABBA and all your other slightly strange folk tunes, talking about school and life. I love you, Mom, making excellent vegan cuisine and helping our household superhero. I love you, Dad, helping with math homework and asking questions partly just so you'll talk scientifically. I love Sunday night dinners with good company, bringing laughter and stories. I know some of you as friends, doing puzzles late at night, then going to our rooms and staying up even later, only to get up way too early the next morning, sneaking cocoa, braiding hair, doing henna, sitting on the bathroom floor in the middle of the night, getting food, talking, laughing, being. Some of you I can recognize, and others I have never seen in my life, but I know enough about you to call you a friend. I am scared for what the future holds. I am scared, and I do not know what will happen next. But if something terrible were to happen right now, I would be content to know that I would die among friends. Because we are in this together. So here I am, right here, in this most beautiful moment in life, simply because it is right now. Wishing on skies and wishing on scars. Enough is enough. Love can change the world, this I believe.
what a joy it is to be celebrating another coming-of-age ceremony and the culmination of another coming-of-age year. This is truly a moment to stop and give gratitude for our youth, for the gift of their insights and their wisdom, and to recognize that their classroom learning here at First Unitarian Society may be over, but their journey of lifelong learning on their own has just begun. Throughout this year, our youth have begun in earnest to study themselves, examining their beliefs and values, ideals, and aspirations. With their belief statements, our youth have given us just a glimpse of where this process has led them, and we would pause for a moment to thank those who have walked with them on this journey. So we will begin with those who have served as the adult facilitators for coming of age, who have given these youth direction, insight, wisdom, and guidance. They have brought patience, good humor, and much love and compassion. So if you will please rise, Lenny Guzman, Dean Hessler, Susan Koenig, and Wynn Nash. We also pause to give thanks for our coming-of-age elders. Each youth is matched with an elder from the congregation, people who are carefully chosen to embody the thoughtfulness, kindness, and commitment that we hope to encourage in our youth. Throughout this year, our elders were steadfast and took this challenge cheerfully and joyfully, and we owe them many thanks as well. If you will please rise, Carol Angel, Sarah Bussey, John Cotter, Amy Kell, Tim Phillips, Jim Shuey, and Avisha West. And now if our youth will come forward.
So to all of you who have gathered here this evening, we ask that you remember your important role in the spiritual and the moral development of these youth you see before you. Where they journey from here is not entirely up to them, it is also up to us. So we must remember that deepening their experience of Unitarian Universalism is not the responsibility of their parents or of their advisors alone. Helping them to blossom as loving and conscientious human beings is a responsibility that all of us share. And now that these youth have completed their coming-of-age year, that responsibility becomes more relevant and more immediate. For these young men and women, you can serve them as both an example and an inspiration of how people live out in their everyday lives their spiritual values. Through you, they can observe Unitarian Universalist faith in action, and there can be no greater or more effective teaching than your good example. So will you continue to encourage the spiritual growth of these youth that you see before you? Will you value their insights, their emerging convictions, and recognize the gifts and the talents that they bring to our community, and the enthusiasm and the hope that they bring to the larger world? And if so, please say we will.
And now to our youth, to all of you, we recognize today the work you have done during this past year. We are grateful for the gifts and the talents you have brought to us in your time here. Will you continue this journey you have begun to grow as an individual, expressing your beliefs, growing in faith, and continuing to question and explore? If so, please say we will.
And now I would invite all of the parents of our youth to please stand. So you, above and beyond everyone else, have been witnesses to the unfolding and maturing of your child from birth until this very moment. At the beginning of this coming of age year, we asked you to give permission for your child to come of age. And we ask you now, will you continue to open your hearts in order to receive your child into your family for all that they have become in the course of this past year? Do you promise now to continue your journey together with respect, patience, guidance, and love? And if so, please say we will. You may be seated.
At the dedication of a child, we give to each a rosebud, fragrant symbol of beauty, promise, and love. The rose we give then has no thorns, symbolizing the better world we would like to give our children. We hope that these children whom we have dedicated will learn to recognize the beauty and the goodness which does exist, that they will grow in wisdom and compassion, adding their own beauty to the world. Our hope is that as each rosebud unfolds, so may the life of each child unfold. Today we give to each of these young people a rose in full bloom, symbolizing the beauty and the gifts they already give to our world and the natural beauty that is found in each of them. Yet this time the thorns are intact.
Lots of thorns.
When you were a child, we could do our best to shield you from the harshness and cruelty of the world. But now, as a young adult, we can no longer protect you from all that you encounter, both the beauty and the cruelty. But no matter where you may go and how far you may travel, you will always be with us in spirit, and we will always be sending blessings your way. So accept these roses, knowing that there are harsh realities in the world, but there is much beauty as well. May you choose to see the beauty. And now, as we did when you were young children, we ask that you be granted clarity of thought, integrity of speech, and a compassionate heart. May the blessings of an understanding heart, strength, integrity of purpose, love received and given be yours today and remain with you as you go forward into ever fuller life. If you will join me in congratulating our youth. And as our youth return to their seats, if you will rise in body or spirit to join in our closing hymn, number 1074.
everybody please be seated? And now, may we have faith in life to do wise planting, that the generations to come may reap more abundantly than we. May we be bold in bringing to fruition the golden dreams of human kinship and justice. This, we ask, the fields of promise become fields of reality.